What's up guys, Mickle here, and we just got an extremely interesting ruling out of the court in the Ripple SEC case. In this video, we're going to go over exactly what just got ruled on, why I think this is going to be such a big deal in this case, and how it's going to impact things going forward. Now, this is something we have not seen in a while, especially out of the judges, so you guys are definitely going to want to see this. This is highly interesting. Make sure you guys stick around for this whole thing. We also see the pressure ramping up on Gary Gensler. I want to show you guys something happening at the SEC right now that's kind of happening behind closed doors that I think show that most of the people at the SEC are extremely unhappy with Gary Gensler at the head of the SEC. This is definitely very important because the more pressure on Gary Gensler that we see, the more important it is going to be for him to try to get himself out of some of these sticky situations. We know a situation that he is likely dying to get out of is the Ripple SEC case. I want to show you guys what's going on at the SEC right now and why I think it's going to be a big deal for this case. Last of all, guys, we got an extremely exciting development out of Ripple. This is something that I have wanted to see for a while, and I think proves that Ripple and XRP have a certain place in transforming our financial system. Now, what I'm going to show you at the end of this video is something that I believe is the key to XRP and Ripple being able to dominate payments in a future financial system. This is something we have not seen and something I believe is going to be a massive development. Make sure you guys stick around for that. Like always, guys, if you are new to this channel or come here all the time, please take a second to hit the like and subscribe button down below. It goes such a long way in helping this channel grow, and it really does mean so much to me. If you guys are ever looking for a good place to buy some XRP, make sure to check out the link in the description below. With that said though, let's jump right into it, and I hope you guys enjoy the content. So guys, the first thing that we need to go over was this ruling in the Ripple SEC case, because this was extremely interesting to me. Now, I'm still getting all the opinions from the lawyers following this case, and I think it's very important that we analyze what they have to say as well, but I want to give you guys some initial thoughts on this because there is no doubt we have not seen something like this in a while. So out of James K. Filan, breaking. And you know it's a big deal when James K. Filan says the word breaking. He said conference scheduled for Tuesday, June 7th, 2022 at 3 p.m. to discuss the SEC's renewed assertion of attorney-client privilege as to internal documents related to Hinman's June 14th, 2018 speech. So what the court just ruled on is she is ordering the SEC and Ripple lawyers to meet in person to discuss the attorney-client privilege based around Hinman's 2018 speech. Now, this has everything to do with the emails leading up to it and whether or not the SEC can claim attorney-client privilege. Now, one of the main reasons I thought this ruling was so interesting out of the court was because we have already seen the SEC try to apply a different privilege to these documents, which was the DPP privilege. Now, when the SEC tried to ask for the DPP privilege to apply to these documents, the court flat out rejected them. Now the SEC is trying to apply an equally absurd privilege, that being the attorney-client privilege, but this time the court is asking them to meet in person. Now, I've already had some initial people asking me, Mickle, does this seem like a good sign or a bad sign to you? Well, it's hard to really tell without knowing what's going to be talked about on this meeting, and so far there's no telephonic conference set up for us to listen to, so it's not necessarily a great sign immediately, because the fact of the matter is, a better sign would have been a flat-out rejection by the court. But I also definitely do not think it's a bad sign, and it looks like Attorney Bill actually agrees with me on that. I'll show you what he has to say about this decision by the court. But one of the initial reasons I didn't think it was such a bad thing was because I remember back during the telephonic conferences at the beginning of this case, how much better the Ripple lawyers were than the SEC lawyers. It seemed like every single time there was a major discovery issue, the Ripple lawyers were so much better at articulating the issue than the SEC lawyers, and Ripple's lawyers won on almost every single major battle. During the time that these telephonic conferences kind of winded down and they were doing more of these filings over paper, it seemed harder for the Ripple lawyers to really explain to the court how absurd the SEC has been being. I think this in-person style definitely benefits Ripple a lot more. We know the judge so far has been very understanding to how insane saying the SEC is being with this case in general, so I think an in-person style is definitely going to benefit the Ripple side more. Now, like I said before, a flat-out rejection would have been better, but let's take a look at what Attorney Bill says because I think it's pretty important. He said the SEC's failure to meet the burden of proof and whether she needs to review all the documents in camera and decide on their face whether they could be subject to AC privilege could be the reason. So he believes that this likely has to do with the court wanting to directly see the documents, go over them, and say whether each one applies to the attorney-client privilege. Now, one of the things I find most interesting about what he says here is actually that he is implying that the judge has not seen all the documents yet. So if he is in fact right and this is what this is about, and this could lead to the judge actually doing an in-camera review of all the documents, well, this would be horrible for the SEC. I'm not exactly sure whether or not the SEC hasn't handed over the documents or not yet to the court. For my understanding, I think it's only some, but if the SEC is forced to hand over all these documents to the court to review, this would be very, very bad for the SEC. And the reason for this is we know the SEC is trying to hide these documents getting turned over at all costs, and that's because they are likely extremely damning for this case. Therefore, if the court is able to review them, it is going to be very unlikely that the SEC would risk taking this thing to summary judgment. And that would be because if the court reviewed a bunch of documents that were extremely damning for the SEC, then why would the SEC then go to summary judgment when they know the court is already going to be highly skeptical to their argument based on their own internal agency's documents? Now, these are just some very interesting things to be considering. This is actually going to be taking place, it looks like, on June 7th. These parties are going to be meeting in front of the court. Who knows what's going to happen, but either way, this is highly unusual and something I am definitely going to be keeping my eye on. Now, I want to quickly show you guys this before I show you something very important at the end of this video, and this is pretty interesting. This was being reported by Eleanor Terriot today and the people at Fox News, and that is that we just saw 3 very high-level people at the SEC resign, and all citing Gary Gensler as the reason they are resigning. The main reason I think this is so important is because the weaker the SEC gets during the case, the more likely they are going to be to eventually give up. The main reason I think that will happen is because we know that Ripple is a good actor in this space. Out of all the cryptocurrency companies, they're literally the most transparent and literally doing everything they can to try to be a good player in this space. It is such a waste of SEC resources to be spending so much time going after the company Ripple when you could be going after legitimate scams. The SEC is really going to end up losing a lot of their enforcement power over the cryptocurrency industry over a big loss to Ripple, and it was all to accomplish almost nothing. This is something that past SEC officials have already speculated on, and they flat out said going after Ripple was a bizarre move for the agency. Therefore, the more high-level people we see stepping down and getting sick of the SEC's games, it is a very good sign that the SEC is likely going to have to take this case off their plate and focus on some things that actually matter in this space. Now, guys, I want to finish off with this, and I think this is huge. This is something that actually got me so excited because I thought this was something that was completely missing from the XRP ledger. I think this is going to go such a long way in creating XRP adoption. This was out of Leonidas, Ripple working with banks in the UK and the US to issue stable coins with reserves likely being held in central bank accounts. More info in the video, and right here are the documenting Ripple. Boom. Ripple will usher in a new league of stablecoins built directly on the XRPL. The XRPL will be the king of payments. And this is something I've wanted to see for a very long time. I've been saying that I want to see USDC issued directly on the XRP ledger, but this is even a step up from that. Homemade stablecoins made by the banks issue on the XRP ledger would be absolutely huge, and especially if their reserves were held by the central banks. Guys, this is what the big boys want to see to get into the crypto game. They don't want to be using algorithmic stablecoins that randomly go to zero when a protocol fails. They want to use stablecoins that directly let them access ledgers, decentralized exchanges, and different blockchain technologies with assets they know are secure. Once central banks get into the crypto game, and if they're getting into the game on the XRP ledger, guys, it is game over. That is huge, and stable coins are absolutely necessary for payments. Guys, people do not want to send each other and pay for things in Bitcoin or XRP. People like to pay for things in things that have a stable unit of value. Yes, me and you are fine with sending each other XRP because we know the value of XRP. We love XRP and we'll gladly hold XRP through the volatility because we know that volatility is going to make us rich. But the average person doesn't want to be paid in XRP. They want to be paid in something they know is a dollar, and they want to pay each other in something that's easy for them to comprehend. And for 99% of the world, that is dollar denominated payments. Guys, this is such a big deal, and it makes me so happy, especially to see the fact that banks in the US are looking to issue these stablecoins. I have a feeling these banks are starting to capitulate. They see the US talking about building a CBDC and realize they need to get in the stablecoin game, and they don't have enough time to build their own decentralized ledger. They need to use XRP to fast forward them into the space age and start developing a crypto plan. Guys, these banks are not going to make their own cryptocurrency. They're not going to create their own ledgers. It's simply not in their DNA and doesn't make sense when they can just use the XRPL and use that to bootstrap their crypto strategy. And I want to make one thing very clear because I know I'm going to get a ton of questions on it. This does not make XRP useless. Guys, XRP is going to be the liquidity for all these stable coins to work. XRP is literally going to be the reserve asset on the XRP ledger that central banks and banks are building currencies on. Guys, this would be such a huge development, and I think is going to be a game changer. And what I actually do believe is going on is these banks are all working with Ripple behind the scenes. They are waiting for regulations because it doesn't make sense for them to put their plans forward before there is regulatory clarity. We have heard this time after time, but now we know these things are going on behind the scenes, and Ripple knows they need to have these stable coins on the XRP ledger. This is huge. I love the sound of it, and I think this is going to be so big in a couple years once we get the clarity, once Ripple beats the SEC. Guys, thank you so much for coming. I hope you enjoyed this update. Make sure to like and subscribe. It helps me out so much. And for now, Mickle out.